next game. And now that it's up, let's hop into game number 4. Per usual, because it is a best of 5, we are at match point. In the top corner, currently up 2 wins. One more game away from advancing to the grand finals. It is Acer's Nerchio, who incidentally you can follow on Twitter under the ID Acer Nerchio.
Yes. The only reason we say that, though, is because he's only recently got his Twitter. He said for the longest time he didn't need it, but Acer Nerchio on Twitter, guys. Anyway, down to the bottom left, we do have our Red Zerg, currently 1 game down here. Really needs your support. And give it up, guys, for Azubu viOLet. And you can follow him at Azubu viOLet on Twitter. There you go. Justified and fair.
Is that true? Azubu viOLet?
Yes.
I'm actually...
Ever since he changed to Azubu, he was USA viOLet before that he was Empire viOLet, and then before that he was MVP viOLet on Twitter. I've followed him for a long time.
Wow. And there it is, Azubu viOLet. I believe you, man. As we were talking about before, this map is one of those every player always early expands every time style play, and I'm blown away that Nerchio is actually going for the 14 supply hatch down. That is very uncommon. I mean, everyone goes 15 hatch nowadays. I'd be curious to ask him after the match why he does that.
I'm wondering if it's something to do with the timing of the 2 drones that he gets out right after it. To be able to then have the spawning pool up a little... I mean, it leaves him in a nice economical position with the 2 extra drones, and then the spawning pool comes a little bit earlier than it would do if you would have gone for a normal hatch timing, and then gone for the 2 drones, then the spawning pool.
Yeah, it's like the fastest, not stupid way to get 2 queens up.
Yeah.
Is probably how I hope Nerchio would say it too.
I'm sure he would, man. I'm sure he would. As again, on Metropolis here, I still think, though, that there's a lot of room for, you know, people like Nerchio to be able to deny the thirds on this map. I'm not a big fan of the third on this map at all. You will probably end up seeing Nerchio starting working on the back rocks of one of those bases to be able to then open up the attack paths necessary so he can stick to his very, very key and style. And again, I mean, people like Nerchio have been able to really pioneer the way forwards in terms of trying to deny that third hatchery. But he just does it so well, and that's been so evident in these past 2 games.
Double queen coming up for viOLet. Again, quite a ways behind our friend Nerchio, but speed is far ahead for viOLet. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Now, you're noting that this is only about 15 seconds ahead if Nerchio starts his now. That is tremendous. What this means is that Nerchio cannot move his Zerglings out into the middle of the map because he will run into faster lings from his opponent, thereby shutting down any ability to retreat. And for an additional 20 seconds, Nerchio can't leave his base. It's going to be a long time before Nerchio has good knowledge on ground.
Yeah. I think one thing that really categorizes Nerchio's play as well is the fact that unless he's actually playing against TSL Hyun, which again I advocated him as his nemesis in the European tournament scene, he never really goes for like massive amounts of aggression on very, very low drone counts. He's not the kind of Zerg to go for that. If he gets buffed by it, then he just considers it some kind of stupid loss that should have never occurred in the first place, and he doesn't really kind of go for that kind of style. He's more than content to go into those big macro games and just stabilize from there on.
Looks like we are seeing viOLet get his Spine Crawler up, as well as the Baneling Nest. Both players looking very similar, with one exception of, wow, another round of 12 Zerglings. Exact opening that we saw out of Nerchio in the last game. His defensive Baneling Nest is up as well, but with speed finishing up right about now, it looks like Nerchio is going to yet again make a beeline to this front line and start getting a little bit of Baneling aggression on.
Yep. Always can be very, very strong. Again, we saw that in the past game, that if you're able to get just 1 or 2 Baneling connections, then happy times will ensue for our Polish friend as he does go for his third. A little bit quicker than I was expecting here, actually. That is far quicker, as he does throw down the Evolution Chamber as well, so we'll have to see what upgrades he's going to be going for and what committal. There we go, there's the Roach Warren on the way.
Yeah, definitely looking lots and lots like big Roach play coming down from Nerchio. Very pumped to see him do this season. Oh, what?
How the...
2 Banelings from viOLet literally just marched their way in and killed off 5 workers, so nice.
And actually, with saying that, he actually cancels the Banelings down to the south and retreats home. That's a very interesting little choice there, as I don't think he didn't scout out anything in the front of his opponent's base. So as such, I guess after seeing that Banelings were there, after seeing that Banelings were a threat when they waddled into, again, his natural, just said, this probably isn't worth it at this point.
Oh, such a sick play from viOLet. viOLet sees, oh, wait, you took a third base. You weren't attacking me. I don't need all these Banelings for defense. The great play is to just attack with them. Now Nerchio's forced to have an answer. Spire now coming up.
He canceled the layer. Why has he canceled his layer? What are you up to, Nerchio?
That is a great play. Looks like Nerchio realizing, oh my gosh, I'm going to be under huge attack. I need 5 Banelings up of my own. And, amazing connection from Nerchio. Now viOLet in a good bit of trouble, but with those Banelings spread out, the way Nerchio's spreading them, that is going to be a mighty hard hatch to kill off.
viOLet trying to get what he can done here, trying to sacrifice 1 or 2 Zerglings at a time to be able to pick these Banelings off. But for now, the Roach is going to be able to come down and deny the killing of this hatchery. So, unless, of course, the most amazing micro from viOLet came out somehow. But no.
Looks like nope. Queens will not take any pot shots at those Zerglings. Meanwhile, back home, Spire finishing up for viOLet. viOLet stopping at a little under 50 drones, so that way he can go Ling, Muta en masse, just blast out the aggression as best he can.
Yeah, and look how aggressive Nerchio's being with this creep spread from his third. He realizes that, you know, he's not really going to have too much firepower to break down these rocks just yet. And actually, the Zerglings coming in. Will they get a drone? No, they will not. Uh-oh.
Zergling running. This is viOLet's comfort zone. He's the aggressor, and great wall off there by Nerchio. 1 Queen definitely going to fall, but viOLet's realizing, hey, there's a big hole up onto this third base. Let me run on over there. But there are Queens and Roaches there ready to greet, and brilliantly he's going for the Queens. He's shutting down all the possible anti-air from Nerchio.
That is fantastic, as well as shutting down so much lava. He only has 1 Queen left across 3 hatcheries, and he's not reproducing any of them either at this point. So Nerchio throwing down Spore Crawlers as quickly as he can do, but those Mutalisks, oh my god, they are going to hit hard and they're going to hit fast.
But this is exactly the timing window for Nerchio to counter. He has 13 Roaches. That's actually not as many as I thought. He could be in good position to do some damage, but with all this extra production, look at this. Target firing on the third base. It's down to 119 hit points, and it will get taken out.
Oh, viOLet with a lovely little play there. Completely well done, turning the tables here on Nerchio. It was always his third that was going to be denied, but this time getting that one. But actually, with Nerchio applying this pressure, does he have anything to deny this third from being killed off?
Wow, I actually think viOLet may have made a little bit of a blunder there, because now it's Nerchio's turn to swing back and take down the expansion of the Korean superstar.
Yeah, nicely done there by Nerchio as well. But oh, look at this. viOLet just waiting for him as he's on the retreat. Nerchio trying to get past as quickly as he can do with a little bit of micro, but he realizes now he's just going to have to go for the kills and try and get as cost-effective as possible. He is up in terms of supply. He does have that 10 drone lead here. But again, he's still re-establishing his third, as is viOLet. And viOLet has that airborne threat that is really, really good on a map as wide open as Metropolis.
I don't actually know if I like that exchange so much for viOLet. I mean, Nerchio just exchanged Roaches for Roaches, which is fine from Nerchio's point of view. He was going to be building those anyways. But from viOLet's perspective, viOLet now kind of has these flat Mutalisks. They cannot do much. They're never going to be able to get any damage done at the main base. The only way he would be able to do that is with Roaches. But now we see Nerchio having cleared those out. Now Nerchio has a long window of comfort against low ground units, and there's +2 attacks starting for Nerchio. He's just going solid, stable play. Mutalisks will pick off maybe 2 Roaches, though.
Yep, chasing those away. Very, very nicely done here. I think he might have ended up... Oh, nice little burrow there to be able to save those 2 Roaches. But I think he might have stuck around during that engagement, because did Nerchio's Clear Reconstitution finish up just before that engagement ended up occurring, and thus he wouldn't have been able to really retreat? I can't quite remember the exact timing on it, but that could have been a factor as to why he stuck around with those Roaches. And meanwhile, though, we have a second evolution chamber going down here for Nerchio. Probably will get that carapace upgrade going very, very soon. And again, you know, this is probably one of the more standard ZVZs that we've actually seen out of these 2 right now.
Yeah, Nerchio is going for the standard straight Zerg versus Zerg. The way he's going to try to get an edge is with upgrades, and with this nice little harassment, kind of an unusual tactic, with viOLet preparing himself nicely with the double Overseer. What we're seeing from Nerchio, though, is there's the +2 range attack, +1 armor now getting started the instant he has the gas for it. So Nerchio is gearing up towards a mega late turn play.
Yeah, and with those Hydralisks going down, the Hydralisk going down for Violet here, we're seeing this more and more in ZVZ. We're seeing, you know, Roach, Infestor, Hydra a lot more than we used to. They're just providing that extra DPS there and being able to really deal with that. Meanwhile, though, we have actually Nerchio going for a 4th, and hey, in true Metropolis fashion, why on earth not, Sean?
Yeah, it is Metropolis. Why attack when you can take 5 bases and then not attack?
It's true. It's true. For a successive 20 to 30 minutes.
That is right. Looks like Violet going to try to pop into the main base. There's this weird sort of dangerous dancing you have to do from 150 to 200 supply in Zerg vs. Zerg. If you're trying to be a little bit too overeager and save that supply for something good, your opponent can overrun you with roaches. What you would like to do, though, is stop the roach production around 150. Oh, the beach balls don't manage to pull it off. What you'd like to do is to be able to build Hydralisks, to be able to slowly end up with this big Infestor Hydra force, because fungal roaches cannot shoot Hydras.
I'm always a little bit scared when people go into ZVZ and commit to... Nidus Worm.
Oh, dude, man. Telling you, Violet was the one who's likely to go for that Nidus Network play. Nerchio's the one to be going for that slow 5-base Broodlord play. And thank you, God, both players delivering, because this is when ZVZ gets sweet.
Yeah, that was a sick call there, Sean. I mean, again, you know, Metropolis, very amazing for that Nidus play. And also, it's good for Nerchio's style that he wants to go for here. So both players really showing their comfort zones, I want to say here. As Violet, he's no stranger to this play. We've seen him many a time go into crazy ZVZ situations with massive Nidus play.
Uh-oh, it looks like we have some Nidus spotters. Oh, there's a Nidus spotter. Instantly losing the Changeling.
Go away, Nidus spotter. We don't want you here. Spore Crawler's going to have something to say about that, though.
Spore Crawler does manage to take down some. Following as best I can. Violet realizing, wait a minute, I don't need a Nidus Worm. I'm just going to go attack him. But all these hatches should get rallied into that Nidus network, and then he can just do a big slam in 2 locations at once.
Oh, not only that, but I seriously hope he uses the Nidus Worm to retreat. That would be so cool as well. But Fungal, and look at that concave that Nerchio has right now on one of those packs of roaches. Fungals go down for a Violet, but it's not really too effective. Does land a large Fungal on a few of those Infestors, though, in the back, but he doesn't chain it as well as he should be doing.
Oh my God, Nerchio did a huge risk. He just built 8 Corruptors at the start of that battle. Is that going to be the right decision? It looks like the answer is no. A big misstep. He misjudged the amount of units that he had, but there's 21 roaches coming out, and Nerchio amazingly defends it.
Oh, where was the Nidus for Violet? He had so many roaches in production to be able to constantly like continue that aggression, but at the same time, it would have gone up against the reinforcements of Nerchio instantly as well, because he had the shorter reinforcement path. So that was always going to be a little bit back and forth from either side there if he'd have gone for that Nidus play. Meanwhile, though, both players going for this Greater Spire. Again, I love Greater Spire on this map because there's so much air space to be able to just sit your Broodlords on edges where they can't actually hit, whilst you still pick away at bases.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you see the face that's on the mini-map right now, but we'll just note that here's a mouth, a nose, and 2 red eyes. And a nice little 3rd eye formed by the Xel'Naga Watchtower. He has a little tuft of hair there. But at this intense moment, perhaps I should talk more about the Corruptor Broodlord army that Nerchio is starting to mass up.
Yeah, that would seemingly be one of the most important factors in this game right now. I'm surprised, actually, Nerchio, I don't want to be like super critical of these players, but after you grab your 4th on Metropolis, it's very easy to take that 5th base. We saw Violet take that much quicker here than we saw Nerchio actually taking it, only taking it right now. So, I mean, yes, there was always that looming threat of a few Mutalisks that Violet had, but, I mean, realistically, you're a 200 at that point. You can throw down spores and deal with that.
Looks like Violet's going to give us a little treat of the Nidus Worm play.
Oh, God. This could get a bit brutal. Here's the Nidus Worm. Where is it? He now spots it. The Roach is actually just a few trickling out here to be able to pick off this hatchery. Reinforcements, are they going to come back, or is he just going to force cancel? Looks like so.
Looks like he sees the one He's going to be taking it out immediately, but these roaches now moving down to the south side. Hello, Broodlords. And in the meantime, a large confrontation up at the front. Nerchio trying to get the fungals off on this pack again. This is one of the biggest fungals I've seen in this series yet. He does manage to clean up the remainder of those roaches. A big volley of infested Terrans from viOLet. Managed to hatch first, getting those first set of shots off. Nerchio desperately retreats the remainder of his units, hoping to be able to deflect this push.
The Broodlords coming along now will be able to help this out immensely. There's not really anything to be able to close the gap with those Broodlords. So Nerchio going to be able to hold on for now. Wisely, actually, viOLet sacrificing a few of his infestors as well, pushing up into the main here. Where is he going?
Wow, viOLet going way far up into the main. Both players actually biffing and losing all of their infestors, except these three remain for viOLet, but not for long. There they reveal their position. Hello. Just want you to know that we're up here. And in the meantime, just an endless string of roaches. I'm surprised to see that it's only roaches out right now for viOLet, not a single Broodlord.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really bad for him, actually, going into later stages of this game. Right now, Nerchio does still have more infestors on the way. He doesn't have any out right now, which is a bit concerning. But still, viOLet only has one himself. So 38 roaches to the 42, whilst we still have those 5 Broodlords ever present here, ever swinging the favorite in Nerchio if any engagement occurs right now.
42 roaches, that's insanity. And here the Broodlords run headlong into that roach pack from viOLet. Nerchio is going to be very happy about that. This Overlord sort of looming there, always threatening that possible Nidus network, but Nerchio has a greater number of roaches, amazingly. And now viOLet is actually going to be the one in a little bit of trouble. And there's the Nidus Worm.
And does he spot it is the question. He does see it's going down, so he will pull those roaches. Oh, he was pulling them back for a second, but actually he continues going for the aggression. And there's so many spines here that I think this is going to work pretty well for viOLet. There's so much defense that he can use to be able to slow this down whilst he tries to do damage in the main, and he gets some infestors as well. And
it looks like Nerchio's going for the base trade. He's instantly going to spring into action with those Broodlords, but there's already a lot of infestors here to answer with some roaches from viOLet, around 20 in the main base. Nerchio's going to be in a bunch of trouble there. Broodlords destroying this front line. viOLet has more Corruptors, though.
And he's suddenly actually swung forward in terms of the roach count as well. viOLet, it's very, very even. He just produced a few more there, but they're not rallied to the front just yet against this. But Nerchio somehow crushing through the front here of the natural of viOLet. But even the infested Terrans actually being thrown down here to try and deal with it. They're so low. He just needs like 1 or 2 more fungals on them if he was able to get it. Meanwhile, trying to focus down this hatchery in the main of Nerchio. viOLet here trying to hold on, trying to hold strong, but Nerchio still bringing that aggression in the main.
Hive about to fall. The target fire from a single roach is all that remains in the main base. It looks like Nerchio's exchange is not panning out very well, and viOLet in so many places at once, now picking off Overlords everywhere. And there's the target fire on the Hive, and it looks like Nerchio loses the Hive.
Meanwhile, we have viOLet with so many Corruptors, killing off a lot of Overlords over at the north position here. He's losing quite a few of them to Spore Crawlers, though. I think really what's this going to come down to, if both players stabilize, is how many Corruptors someone has, just to be able to deal with those Broodlords and then eventually go for that transition once again.
viOLet up here at the top right side. He's going to morph Broodlords, but that is going to be the mistake of the century as hello, Corruptors. Nerchio springing right on up. Is the Greater Spire anywhere? Yep, it's at the natural expansion. And that is going to be a lot of free air units for Nerchio.
The Armada of Doom just coming along to be able to kill off the rest of these Broodlords. Kills them before they actually hatch in, but it's important that you get the money back whilst they're morphing in anyway, so that's all good. And for now, viOLet going to be pushing forwards into the natural once again, killing off a lot of these roaches. Nerchio has the concave, but he just does not have the numbers. 190 supply right now to the 125. viOLet just going to be able to spring into action. GG! 2-2, guys. This is not over yet. As Nerchio and viOLet so toe-to-toe with one another here. So difficult for each of them to really find that small advantage against each other. It's, this is so ridiculous.
What's amazing to me is how viOLet used that Nidus Worm play.
Yeah.
He waited. He was just doing a little bit of harassment here, maybe a little bit of harassment there. And then he waited for Nerchio to get a little overeager, and boom, that's when he struck huge. It is impossible to get the positioning right when your roaches are in the middle of the map. No matter where you go, viOLet will use that Nidus Worm to make it wrong and just blasted down 20 into the main base.
Yeah,
Amazing
especially on a map like Metropolis. As you said at the very beginning of that game, Nidus play on that map can work so effectively. If you get caught out of position, there's literally 1% chance you're going to be able to retreat back in order to be able to deal with that kind of threat.
The craziest part to me is that the final map is going to be on Entombed Valley, which is a small, tense, dangerous Zerg vs. Zerg map.
Yeah. Well, in the chat here, Aces Nerchio saying, I think I should win, but me noob. Nerchio, not quite the noobiest of players, I would say. Pretty good.
I mean, he's just had an incredible run here. Nerchio might be able to knock out MC and then viOLet in back-to-back series, and then potentially go up against the GSL multi-champ MVP. And, I mean, gosh, that was just such an amazing tactical decision, that Nidus Worm. That is just the big key moment. The Broodlord slowly going back and forth for Nerchio, and the instant Nerchio decided to attack with those two. Another reason why that Nidus network worked out so nicely.
Yeah. So Nerchio going to have to rethink his game plan here. I mean, technically, there's always that temptation of getting really aggressive in the game 5, but you have to stick to that macro game. So, guys, without further ado, let's send it over to the Tastosis.
Hey, what's up, guys? We are almost to the point that we want to show you in this replay over here. It's been this game specifically was completely insane. We were actually, as they were casting it, we were sitting here going, well, what part do we actually highlight? So we're going to highlight the ending part here. Go ahead.
There was a lot of different parts in this game that were pretty worthwhile. But I mean, when you get down to a base trade scenario, you have to look at why the people chose to do the base trade and how that base trade actually worked out for everyone. So we're almost there. It'll be there in just a moment here.
Yeah, we just got to fast forward that point in the replay, and I think we're basically ready. So
just about, should be just another second or so. Hold on.
One of these ZDZs that actually went to like the Supreme late game, this map specifically can allow for that kind of stuff to occur because the third base is very easy to obtain. Unlike, for instance, the last map that we just casted there. And are we good?
Just 1 second.
All right. But yeah, it was a pretty epic, dramatic game. And honestly, for a long period of time, we actually had no idea who was going to win. And this really does highlight it here right at the end. And let's go ahead and throw that up on screen now. We're ready.
All right, so here we are. The base trade is basically commencing. This is right as the Nidus was starting to come out. They're both sitting there maxed out. And if we look at the unit count, for viOLet, he has 8 Corruptors against just 2 Corruptors of his opponent. Not many Broods, but you know, when there's a lot of Broodlords out, you need to have something that kills them, and Hydras don't do it, so it's basically Corruptors that you're going to be using. So that's one really big part of this. We see that Nerchio is walking down. Nerchio has a very scary army. Scarier on the ground, a little more Roaches, a little bit more Broodlords. But these Corruptors really are going to end up dominating.
Yeah, as you can see, he's coming in here. The Corruptors really dominating in the sky. Broodlords are one of the few units that are just not actually as handy in a base trade situation because they're just not fast.
No, they are not.
And unlike most other units, like Roaches, for instance, you have to deal with Roaches. You don't have to deal with Broodlords. You can actually just run away from them and go somewhere else.
And, I mean, we see here that Nerchio is going up for the space trade still. He still has some Roaches left over. Of course, viOLet has a few over here doing what he can. But the main thing was the Corruptor count, because with just a few Broodlords against a lot of Broodlords, but having more Corruptors, he's able to kill his opponent's Corruptors, and he's able to kill the Broodlords as well. So that makes it so that his Broodlords then can go and clean up all of the ground units of his opponent. And by doing so, that's going to put him into a really nice spot.
Now, when you're in this kind of situation, you got to be very careful when you throw out the Infested Terrans, because although they do a lot of damage, they're not mobile. Well, I mean, they're just barely mobile. So it's really important that you're making the right choices there. As you can see here, the Corruptors are splitting up. Now, he's hitting Nerchio's Overlords because he's actually unaware of what the supply actually is. viOLet probably thought it was a little bit closer. So hitting those Overlords not as impactful, but not a bad idea either here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's in a very good spot because he did get to kill off his opponent's army very easily with those extra Broodlords, and especially, again, the Corruptors. That's really what changed this whole game completely into viOLet's favor. And from there, I mean, he has all of his flying units still, which gives him a huge supply lead. You can't really switch back into Broodlords when he has that many Corruptors, because you have to make more Corruptors than he has, plus have Broodlords. and then the roaches are going to kill you, basically, because you have to have so many corruptors. It was a good choice for viOLet to be a little bit slower on his mass Broodlord production.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one of the few ZVZ base trade scenarios we ever really get to see.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, I guess that's about it for that game.